Dear Ambassador Greminger, Director General Swing, Excellencies, dear colleagues, I want to thank OSCE and IOM for the opportunity to contribute through this video message to this important panel towards a new, or rather a fact-based, narrative of migration, a discussion which could not be more fitting for International Migrants Day and for the upcoming negotiations on a global compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. We celebrate today international migration as an integral part of our globalized world. We celebrate the positive impact it has for global development. And we celebrate the substantial social, cultural, and economic contributions migrants make to their host and their home communities. And yet, public opinion does not always acknowledge these contributions. Let me highlight a few examples. While migrant workers are often perceived to have a negative impact on wages of nationals and on the living standards and social systems in host communities, this fear is largely misplaced. Empirical evidence, in fact, shows quite the contrary. Migrant workers at all skills levels neither harm employment prospects nor lower wages of national workers. Financially, migrants, including irregular migrants, contribute to their country of destination by paying taxes and injecting around 85% of their earnings into the economies of host societies. Migrants generally contribute more in taxes than the cost of the services that they receive in return from host states. And you are aware, of course, of the enormous impact that the 15% of their income which is sent home as remittances has on the economies of developing countries. Similarly, there's a distorted view in public opinion about the number of incoming irregular migrants. A fact-based narrative on migration needs to recognize that the overwhelming majority of the 250 million migrants in the world today enter and stay in countries in a completely regular fashion. When the discourse on migration policy reverts to feverish debates which demonize migrants as burdens or threats to society, or perpetuates inaccuracies, the factual and overwhelmingly positive contributions that migrants make to our societies and economies are overshadowed and risk being forgotten altogether. Worse still, negative rhetoric can spill over into acts of violence or intimidation against vulnerable minority groups. So we must reverse the vicious circle which traps the migration debate. Negative public attitudes lead to inappropriate policies, and then bad policies validate and indeed fuel further hostile public attitudes. Your discussion on changing the narrative of migration could not be more timely. The consultation phase of the Global Compact on Migration came to an end with the multi-stakeholder preparatory stock-taking meeting in Mexico held earlier this month. The need for a narrative based on reality rather than perception or fear emerged there as a priority. Ladies and gentlemen, the success of the Global Compact will largely depend on the extent of the moral and political buy-in of the member states and the strong engagement of all stakeholders, non-governmental organizations, the private sector, migrants themselves, and the United Nations system. And the success of the whole process rests on informed leadership. I thank you for the lead you take in anchoring this debate in reality, and I wish you the very best in your deliberations today. Thank you.